Tony Abbott is the fourth Prime Minister to go to China in hopes of securing a free trade agreement. I'm joined by China Spectator's Peter Tsai. Will Tony Abbott have any luck this time?
I think so. He probably has a much better chance than all the previous three Prime Ministers. And he staked a lot of political capital on this particular issue. And the Chinese Premier Li Keqiang actually mentioned Australia Free Trade Agreement, and he actually wanted the accelerated agreement in his government report, which is quite a significant event that took place last month. So, and there's a lot of positive signals. I think this deal now is possible, more than ever.
How important is it for the Prime Minister to go and have that dialogue in person?
It's absolutely very important, because the free trade agreement, even though it is all about market access and trade, but it's also a very important political statement. So having the Prime Ministers in China try to seal the deal, I think will give the trade negotiation a very significant boost in momentum.
Now, how did the deals that were struck with Japan and South Korea, how are they likely to influence this deal with China?
Yes, it will definitely have a significant bearing, because China will definitely not accept a deal that is worse than Japan and Korea. And on certain restrictions, for example, in agriculture sector, Chinese negotiators will be watching very closely at what the Japanese and the Koreans offer to Australia, and we can't expect a better deal.
So what does that mean for agricultural exports, for instance?
It doesn't look too bright, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to say that. It just because if you look at the Japanese deals, it's actually, apart from beef, there were no significant concession. I mean, for example, with the sugar sector, is actually quite interesting. Government claimed Australian farmers would get a preferential access, but in fact, the tariff reduction is actually just for a category where we have no business with Japanese, so it really makes no difference. And also with a lot of other significant industries like rice and other things just even completely off the table. And with the dairy, it's also no significant concession. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty hard negotiation when it comes to agriculture sector access.
And that dairy one is quite significant, right? Because New Zealand has no tariffs on their dairy, which has been a huge thing for their exports.
Yes, absolutely. If you look at New Zealand and Australia, back at 10, 15 years ago, I think the dairy sector, we roughly produced a similar amount of milk. But now New Zealand is way ahead of us, and New Zealand, a company Fonterra, absolutely dominates the international trade in the dairy sector. So yes, New Zealand are doing very well out of the Chinese market.
What about other sectors? Because people have said often that the services sector is really the growth industry. How will that change for Australian companies looking to go to China?
Yes, I mean the financial service sector, for example, all the big four CEOs are actually in China, try to secure a very access to the Chinese market, which is one of the largest untapped financial service market in China. Some actually very positive signals, because ANZ and Westpac just signed an agreement with China UnionPay, and China UnionPay is actually world's second largest card issuer. It just means in the future, the more Chinese tourists are able to spend their RMB more freely in Australia. I think that's a very, very positive development of Australian tourism sector.
And what's the benefit of the free trade agreement in terms of goods coming from China to Australia? How do Australian consumers benefit?
I think the goods will get cheaper, but the thing is we already have a very low tariff, so we're probably not going to see a significant drop in terms of price, because since 1975 we have been cutting tariffs unilaterally, so we already have one of the lowest tariff and the protected market in the world, so don't expect a huge drop.
And finally, what's the time frame you see in terms of an actual deal being signed?
Oh, probably this year. I think it's entirely possible. I wouldn't say that at the beginning of the year, but at the moment it seems to all the positive signals and the vibes we've been getting from Beijing, I think this deal is possible this year.
Wow, one to look out for. Peter Tsai, editor of China Spectator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackson.